Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Sounds of You with saxophonist Jamal Riley. So in this video we're going to be covering how to disassemble and take care of the saxophone, okay? So we've already put the saxophone together, we went over embouchure and posture. Now we're going to go over taking it apart and using our care kit, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the reed off of the mouthpiece. I'll be honest with you, I'll confess. I'm guilty of not taking the reed off of the mouthpiece, because when I was younger, I figured, hey, if I leave the ligature on the mouthpiece, when it's time for me to play next thing, I'm gonna have to pull it out, put it back on, save myself some steps, get into it faster, buy myself a little more time. Well, what I discovered was, me and a couple classmates, other bandsmates, when you do that, you're likely to develop mold. Mold like dark and moist areas, and that's what the mouthpiece is. It's dark and moist when you leave it together and shot up in a case. So you want to pull your reed off. You want to put your reed back in its either the plastic slit it came in or our reed guard we got. So I'm going to stick that guy back in there. Boom, that's done. Stick it back in the case. So now we got the mouthpiece, right? So next, I'm going to pull the ligature off. Pull the ligature off. I'm just going to stick that to the side right now. I'm going to pull the ligature off. Next, we're going to pull the mouthpiece off. Just like we put it on, we didn't just stick it on. We're not just going to pull it off. So we worked it on. We got to work it off. So grab it like that. Just work it off. Boom, comes off easy. Especially if you got cork grease on it. Now, I'll be honest with you. Another tip. I'm guilty of this too. I got a new saxophone. New saxophone, so excited. And the cork was just ridiculous. I did put some cork grease on it, but obviously I didn't put enough on there. Like I said, this is primarily the problem with brand new saxophones, like freshly manufactured saxophones. Not so much with used saxophones, unless it's a new cork on a used saxophone. That's a possibility too. But anyway, I had this new saxophone, and I could not pull the mouthpiece off. Now, unlike brass instruments, woodwinds don't have a mouthpiece puller. So you want to try to work it off. So my point is, you never want to be in a position where you can't take the mouthpiece off, because it's just a hazard. As far as the neck in the case, you can mess around and break it. Especially if you got once you get more advanced and start buying more different types of mouthpieces. Mouthpieces can get pretty pricey too. Like I said, these guys start around $19, but they can get pretty pricey when you start getting better stuff. Okay, so at this point the mouthpiece is off. I got my mouthpiece brush, so I just stick it in there like that. Get any buildup I may have in there, and boom, that's that. Okay, so stick the mouthpiece. So before I stick the mouthpiece back in the case, I was about to stick the mouthpiece back in the case. Before I stick the mouthpiece back in the case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put I almost dropped it. I'm going to stick the ligature back on the mouthpiece. Now here's why this is important. This is a metal ligature. If you bend it, once it is bent, it's not going to be of very much use to you anymore. Because yes, it'll still go in there, but it's not going to provide the same seal. So what I'll do is I put it back on this mouthpiece and I'll tighten it back up, because I don't want this shuffling around inside my case as I'm moving around. So that's back on there securely. And see, some cases actually come with a hole specifically for your mouthpiece. Honestly, tragically, some of them don't. But at the very least, you got your reed in this reed guard and you got this on there, you're good to go. Okay. So the next thing we're gonna do, so we got this neck, right? So we're gonna loosen the neck screw, and again, we're just gonna work it off. That was actually a little tough, but it came off. So I'm gonna stick that back in the instrument, in the case. So what I'm gonna do at this point, I got the body. Just gonna take the neck strap off, boom. All right, gonna lay that back in the case. So for now. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're going to clean the neck. Okay, so we're gonna take our neck snake, okay, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to go in the bigger side. Don't go in the smaller side, go in the bigger side. And so I'm going to stick that in there, funnel it on through, you know, just kind of work it. Shouldn't be much of nothing in there, just moisture, you know. So boom, it came out the other side. So now at this point, I'm going to pull the other part through, and it's going to swab it on out, get any other moisture, because you can get mold in here too. Okay, so got that. So we'll clean it off here. So now the part, I dare say the most important part is the body of the saxophone. So here's one of the reasons why in a previous video I advised that, hey, you know, you don't want to eat or drink, especially anything sweet, before you play. You know, rinse your mouth out, because all that saliva, spit, whatever you want to call it, is coming in this instrument, and whatever is in your mouth is coming in here. So here's the bad part of that. So you see, as you know, you have these light brown things on the bottom side of your keys. These are called your saxophone keypads. So you know, over time, your keypads with normal wear and tear, your keypads will need to be replaced. But if you're reckless about it, they'll need to be replaced sooner. And getting your saxophone repadded is not a cheap expense. Now, just replacing a pad can still be a tedious depending on which one it is. So usually your worst pads will be the ones right up here at the top with your palms, be these guys right here, because they get the most force out of everything else. And it just goes down from there. So what'll happen is sometimes if you're squeaking, you may have a leak, and a leak means that your pads are not sealing all the way down on the saxophone. So at that point, if you have a leak up here, none of the notes down here are going to come out. Nothing is going to work, and it is frustrating. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our swab. So I'm going to pull out the package, take it out the package. So usually the swabs will come with a hard end, and some of your better swabs will be more. This has a little weight to it. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to drop that down the bell. Do not drop it up here. Drop it through the bell. So, and usually what I would do, let me make sure I got this straightened up first. Oh, hold on, let me pull this out because I want to put a knot in it. Okay, so now that I got that, so I'm going to drop the weight into the bell. And at that point, I'm going to hold this, you know, make sure I got all the cord in there. And so I'm going to flip the saxophone over. It ain't coming. Hold on, we'll try it again. I got my weight down in there. This one been a little difficult. Oh, came through that time. So now I got my weight out of my neck. So I'm just gonna pull it through. Okay. And so what this is gonna do, this is going to go by and brush all your pads. Matter of fact, what I would do while you're doing this, I would hold the pads down. Hold the pads down for each hand as it's coming through. So right now it's in the middle. So I'm going to swap hands. I'm going to get the left hand this time. And you're going to pull it on through. Ooh. It's been a while. Give me, I don't play the saxophone, but you know, see, you got some of the grime out of here. But yeah, that's it. So once you swabbed it out, you can sit it back in the case. Now I will admit there are some other types of swabs where it goes in the it's like a long thing, and it has sometimes made of feathers and stuff, something kind of feathery, if you will. And basically you stick it in the top, and some say you could even leave it in the saxophone overnight. I personally have never tried that. However, I've not heard good things about that. I've not heard good things about that. And so what I mean is, because when you put those type of like I said, I don't know, I can't remember the real name for them, but when you put those type of swabs, it may just go by the name sax swab, but it's a different type. When you put those type of swab, like I said, it's like a pole with feathers or something like that. You just stick it in the saxophone, and you can even leave it in the instrument. I do not. If you use those, you can put it in there, tooling around. Do not leave that in your instrument, because think about it. If the swab is meant to go in to get the moisture, and you don't pull the swab out, yes, the swab has the moisture, but where did the moisture go? It didn't go anywhere. It's still in your instrument, which means it's still at risk of deteriorating your pads, and it's still at risk of harvesting mold in there. So if you're gonna use one of those things, like I said, I personally have never used them. I've known people have. I'm not one of them, and I don't have any. So if you're gonna use one of those guys, make sure you pull it back out, okay? So now at this point, you're ready to put the saxophone back in the case. So again, I'm holding it by the broadside, holding it by the bell. I'm not holding the rods over here. So I got it by the bell. I'm going to stick it back in the case. And at that point, we're ready to close it. So now, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions in taking care of your saxophone, or just making sure you're doing the right thing, feel free to reach out to me. But this is saxophonist Jamal Riley with The Sounds of You, and I'll see you in the next video.